So before we start this video, I just want to say thank you all so much for getting this channel to 10,000 subscribers. That is amazing, and I'm just so happy that we have been able to do this. I have a special 10,000 subscriber video coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. And so let's get started with this video. Recently, I've been doing some renovations in my basement because of all that crazy weather we've been having in BC recently. And it got me thinking about a show I used to watch many years ago. It started in 2006 and went to 2011, and it's called Canada's Worst Handyman. The show aired on Discovery Channel, but now all the seasons and all the episodes are on YouTube, which is really great. We're gonna start from the first season, first episode, and see what the show is really like, because I can barely remember what happened in it.
The 5 most pathetic amateur home renovators in the entire country, as nominated by you, have been brought here to this apartment complex so we can determine who is Canada's worst handyman. To make our decision, we're letting each of them renovate an entire 1-bedroom suite in just 12 days.
And then they do a bunch of different challenges and repairs, and whoever does the worst is then named Canada's Worst Handyman.
These tasks can turn a man into a maniac.
Well, why don't you get off your ass and go do it?
Which is why we have a psychologist on site.
Canadian TV shows really do care about their contestants. As you can see, this show has a psychologist that they can talk to when they're having trouble. You know, when they're feeling like kind of insecure and sad about being named the worst handyman in Canada.
After sifting through the rubble, we were left with these 5 candidates. Barry is a substitute teacher from Quadra Island, BC.
You can tell it's an early 2000s show just based off of all those like quick camera angles and the guy going like crossing his arms and like looking away from the camera, showing the contestants from different angles and them all lined up.
Barry is a substitute teacher from Quadra Island, BC.
It's such a distinct style.
I don't believe I was born with handyman skills. Probably my DNA was twisted in a different way.
I don't think anybody's born with handyman skills. I think that's something you learn. The one thing these contestants do seem to lack is common sense, as you'll see. So I don't know if that's something learned or if that's something you should be kind of born with, because that does seem to be something, you know, either you got it or you don't.
This truck driver doesn't own a measuring tape, so he often ends up a little short.
I'm not much of a measuring type of guy. Takes too long.
I don't get the like, oh, I'm too cool to use a measuring tape kind of attitude. That's such a bad argument, because if you don't measure and then you make a mistake and then you have to repair the mistake you made, then it's gonna take you longer than if you just did it properly the first time. Maybe if you're a skilled trades worker who's been doing this for like decades and you just know what you're doing, like maybe you could probably get away with not measuring certain things because you just know how to do it. But just your average DIYer, you're gonna need to measure it. Like, I don't get the kind of the shame and like, oh, I don't want to measure anything. That's the stupid idiots do that.
Merle was nominated as Canada's worst handyman by his frustrated wife, Shelley.
I think they captured her frustrating. I can't speak. I need to go on like Canada's Worst Speakers or something like that, because I can't talk at all. I think they summed up her frustration in that clip pretty well.
When I said these apartments were dilapidated,
oh my God, Daryl, you're gonna have so much trouble.
I wasn't kidding. Fixing these apartments involves 25 individual projects.
You don't know how to do any of this.
Whoever nominated you comes along with you and then helps you through the challenges too. That wife has just absolutely no faith. You're not gonna be able to do any of this. Like, we may as well leave now. Like, let's go.
I want to introduce you to the 2 people that are going to be helping you through all of these challenges.
Greg House, our head instructor, is a general contractor. Beside Greg is Robin Lockhart, owner of a trendy Toronto design firm that creates home and business environments from the ground up.
Your first challenge here at the Handyman Rehab Center is patching the hole in your ceiling, okay?
They start off with a pretty easy challenge. You gotta fix a hole in your wall. You gotta do a drywall patch, basically, which I've done a lot of recently. So they get shown the proper way to accomplish the task, how to repair the drywall, but pretty much none of the contestants decide to do it the way they were shown, because for some reason they think they know more than the expert.
We want to get a piece of drywall up in here so that we can patch it, right? And you will do that with a shim or a piece of wood. And you will cut it whatever size you can fit in there so that it sits across. And you will get up there with a screw through the wall, boom, through into there to hold it.
Sounds complicated your way.
All the contestants seem to think that that's like a really difficult way to repair it. It's not that hard. It's 3 screws. Like, you put your piece of wood in, screw on each side of it, then you screw the piece of drywall into it.
While Jeannie uses her homemade toolbox as a sawhorse, Keith uses his radiator.
As you can see, common sense is lacking in a lot of the contestants. The guy's like trying to saw and he's like banging the saw into the drywall, making more dents too. That's just so bad. Part of the reason for watching the show is I wanted to see how difficult the challenges actually were, because when I watched them when I was about 8, I couldn't do basically anything. I was barely able to cut with a saw. When I was 8 or 10, I built these stools or bedside table kind of things, and because I wasn't very good at cutting straight, the legs on them were different lengths and weren't flat, so like the table would rock, so you couldn't actually really put anything on it. And also for some reason I thought I needed to make it like as strong as possible, and for each leg, which is just a 1x4, I attached it with 5 screws, so there's 20 screws involved in making the stool.
I don't want to do that shimmy thing.
He asked you to do a shimmy and you're saying, screw that.
That's right, I'm not going to listen.
Merle doesn't want to use his shim either.
Why don't they want to use the shim? It's not that difficult to screw into a piece of wood through drywall. What's the point of just like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to do it a different way. That doesn't work instead.
My measuring and leveling skills is pretty simple. If both eyes are working, it should be level, and if my arm's long enough to measure it, I'll use my arm. And I did not use a measuring tape, and that gave me a real big gap at the end. So I don't know how I'm gonna fix it.
I don't get how these people can be so cocky. He's like, all you need is 2 good eyes and an arm, and then you can do basically anything in construction. But then it cuts to a clip of him and he's got this big gap in his floor, and he's like, yeah, I didn't use a measuring tape, so yeah, I got this big gap now and I don't really know what to do with it. You think people would learn from their mistakes, but apparently not.
Jeannie has 2 shims through her hole, and she's determined to hammer them in place instead of drilling them.
These are screws.
We only provided screws, so a hammer simply won't work. But that doesn't stop Jeannie. She pointlessly bangs away on the screws, even though in class she was specifically told to use the drill.
Oh my god, she's trying to hammer in screws. These poor people just didn't get common sense when they were younger somehow. I don't know. How do you end up like this on a TV show, trying to hammer in a screw?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I can achieve some stuff. I'm creative. Well, there's a hole here, and I didn't know how to fix it, so I put this soap dish there, and look how beautifully that fits.
She needs help.
This is definitely one aspect of the show that I really like. It's just seeing people's strange ways at fixing stuff that you just like never in a million years think of. Yeah, you got a hole in your floor? Just put a little soap tray there and it is solved.
Drywall tape is thin, sticky mesh designed to give wet plaster something to cling to as it hardens. It's only strong enough to support a few grams per square centimeter. But Merle is optimistically using it to make a safety net to catch the globs of plaster he knows are going to fall from his ceiling patch. If Merle had used a shim to install that piece of drywall, it would be flush with the ceiling right now and wouldn't need this nonsense.
So because screwing in a piece of wood as backing was too complicated, he decides to place the piece of drywall through the hole so it's not flush with the ceiling, and then put a bunch of mesh tape over it.
Plaster should be the consistency of peanut butter. Merle's is more like gravy.
Come on, stay on, buddy, work with me.
Merle's desperate concoction is too much for his safety net to bear. Merle steals some old duct tape left on his ceiling by our lighting crew. He thinks that because our experts and I aren't in the room, we have no idea what he's doing.
And then because all the mesh tape is falling off, he starts to use duct tape. It's so funny seeing somebody like doing something in a certain way because they're like, oh, I can't be bothered, it's gonna take too long. And then their method takes like so much longer, makes a big mess.
With 12 cameras constantly rolling, our experts get to watch every bad move their students make. And when the experts see something totally egregious, I'm sent in to investigate.
Sup, Merle? How's it going?
I think you just caught me.
How's it going, man? He's like trying to use duct tape all sneaky, but he's being filmed by a camera on a TV show. Does he not think that they're gonna find out?
Canada's worst handyman are making the problem larger than it really is.
Making the hole bigger.
I know I am.
We're providing expert guidance, but they've got their own ideas.
It's easier to trim this than that.
Because their patch was too big for the hole in the ceiling, they decided to make the ceiling hole bigger. That's big brain stuff. That's pretty smart. It's just like, oh my god.
When Daryl finally picks up the drill, he doesn't realize it's in reverse.
Something's not right.
I'm starting to wonder if this show is scripted because like some of the mistakes they're making are just so basic. The guy thinks the drill is broken because it's going in reverse. This show is actually pretty good, but like, man.
Home renovation is more than a struggle for Daryl.
Oh, are you hanging the mirrors?
It's a fight.
You're gonna kill me in my sleep, honest to God.
You know, there's always a winner in the fight, and it's always me, because I am right. I read the instructions, I'm right.
If you only read instructions once in your life, please let it be now.
Well, these are very hard instructions to read.
They're pictures.
These instructions are very hard to read. They're pictures. One of the comments says that Daryl's wife was shamed for the way she acted on the show, and afterwards they got divorced and moved away. She has been like constantly hating on him the whole time, so I can kind of see why.
You know, I can't take it anymore, all right? One thing at a time. He'd probably say that I'm explosive. If you make me bend down one more time, I'm gonna freak out. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Ever plastered over duct tape before?
Not this big.
Not that big, but smaller.
Smaller. Seems to work.
Watching from the control room, our experts are speechless.
They actually are speechless too. They look like their soul just left their body after seeing him plaster over duct tape.
The last time Keith needed to use plaster in his apartment, he used toothpaste. The sparkly kind.
I use toothpaste here because somebody once told me that if you make a mistake, you just fill it in with toothpaste. I just used the wrong toothpaste, that's all.
These people are from somewhere else. Like this guy's friend just compared him to being like a dog.
He looks at you like when you talk to a dog and they sort of angle their head a little bit and you think it understands what you're saying and it's paying attention, but it's no.
So their next challenge is to shingle the roof of a shed. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, let's see how they manage to mess it up.
The next step should be choosing a leader. That doesn't happen. There's no team meeting and no agenda. The job site is instant chaos.
What's up?
Barry is handed this shingle correctly, but he flips it over before hammering it on.
Dagger it again, right?
He's flipping them all over.
You got them on upside down, boys.
That doesn't look so good.
According to our building expert, Greg, there's only one thing to do in this situation. Rip the shingles up and start again. On the other side of the roof, things are moving along quickly and incorrectly.
That pretty much sums up this whole show. The contestants are like, I really want to get it done quickly, but then they end up doing it incorrectly, and then they end up having to do it again, which makes the job actually take longer.
Hey, Jeannie.
Yeah.
We're almost at the top, which is called the valley. How do we do that?
Jeannie consults the paperwork.
The valley instructions. Okay, shingles in the valley.
Good handiwork requires common sense.
Cut off top corner of each end shingle at an angle.
Does this look like a valley to you? These people have no common sense. It's just so crazy.
I think it's fine. I think we did it.
It's not fine. It's an abomination that will leak like a sieve and blow off within a year. They've got exposed seams, open gaps, and a peak that's beyond repair.
Oh my god, that looks so bad. I think we did a really good job. And it pans over to this mess.
Now it's time for each of them to face their judgment from the experts.
It's not safe.
You didn't expect me to do it exactly like you wanted me to do it.
That's what I expected.
Never would have
That's absolutely what I expected. Just do it
Your
the way you're told to do
expectations
it.
are too high.
He's on a show learning how to become a better handyman, and he's like, you didn't expect me to actually listen to any of your advice, right? Come on. I was gonna do it my own way, and I was gonna fail at it, you know?
And the worst for this episode is
Barry.
So there we go, that's the end of this episode. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like and please subscribe. And if you haven't, check out some of my other videos.